everyone, welcome back to the Life of Epiphany. If you have been subscribed to my channel from the very first time, I just want to say a big thank you. And if you see my video for the first time, see my page for the first time, stick around, give me a chance to win you over. And if I do, please support me by liking and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. So today I want to be talking about a concept of basically what it's called. It's called people pleasing. So as a recovering people pleaser myself, I am taking steps to, change my entire perspective when it concerns people and also when it has to do with me. People pleasing, it bothers in so many areas. Like I was an ardent people pleaser. It was very difficult for me to say no because I did not want to hurt a person's feeling, and I always put a person's feeling above mine. This is what I know a lot of people pleasers, if you are suffering from this as well, this is the exact same thing that you are likely to do. So I'm going to be sharing, there are going to be different categories of which I'm going to be explaining what people pleasing is and the steps I'm taking to stop being a people pleaser. I hope you are able to relate to this. Let's see. So many of us do not know that we are people pleasers. We don't know. How would you know? Before you would know, you would actually have to have done some introspection, reach deep inside of yourself to see the areas that you are liking. And this is something I try to do every now and then. I try to reach deep into me to find out the areas that I'm liking in so I can improve in them. Now, how do you even know you are a people pleaser? Because you could easily confuse people pleasing with being cautious or being empathetic, but they are different things. When you have empathy, you're basically putting yourself in someone else's shoes so you can be able to connect to them deeper. When you are cautious, you're simply being kind. Now, when it's also not just about kindness, it generally means to be polite or to be respectful. So when someone says courtesy demands, it demands that in any situation that you find yourself in, you should be respectful of yourself and then of other people's feelings and emotions and ideas and opinions and ideology. You should be respectful in any situation you find yourself, which also would translate to being kind. A kind person would naturally be respectful, but if you are unkind, I don't think you would have the common sense to not be impolite. Now, when you are a people pleaser, basically what you do is you displease yourself just so you can gratify the needs of others. And it doesn't make sense. This is something that I've done for almost all of my life. I remember when I was a young child, most of the characters I exhibited that I'm not proud of, the characters I exhibited as a young adult, as a child. When I was a young child, I lived in a military camp where we have chains of blocks, and every block would have at least 10 rooms and a well. So we had, I think we stayed in room 5. I don't really remember, it's been a while, but I think we stayed in room 5. Five is just, my head is just thinking 5, so possibly 5. We had this big well. Now, eventually, of course, they had to build a borehole and connected the tank and connected water to every bathroom and to every room, which is amazing. But before then, even after they connected the borehole, we still had access to the well because it's already there. And sometimes you just want to wash or do other things, and then you would just go to the well and draw water. So I would often go there and just stand by the well. Maybe my mom sent me to go fetch water, or I just went there for no reason. I don't remember why I usually go to the well, but I would stand and wait for whenever someone is coming to fetch water, just so I could tell them, don't worry, I'll fetch for you. I could do this for hours. And the only thing I wanted to hear was when they say, God bless you. Then to me, I was being kind and I wanted to go to heaven. So was I really doing it just out of the kindness of my heart, or because I had been taught in church? I was attending catechism classes back then because I grew up as a Catholic. I was taught in church that being kind would take you to heaven. So I would stay there for hours until maybe my mom calls me and chastises me for asking about my whereabouts. But in my mind, I'm like, shush, mom, I'm doing the will of God. So I think that is when the act of people pleasing started to grow in me. But I never knew that was what it was, because I don't think I was even familiar with the concept itself until now as an adult. So it could be, or it could start from different means or different areas or different ways. You would have to reach down within yourself to discover and be aware of what this is before you can actually cut it to the curb. I am someone that like to pride myself as being empathetic. Whenever I see someone going through something, I put myself mentally in the person's shoes, because I know how when people say things like, I understand how you feel. Do you really understand how a person feels until you've been in that position? Until it happens to you, you can never know. So even when you remove yourself empathetically in your mind, mentally, you take yourself and you place yourself in a person's shoe, you cannot entirely understand what they're going through until you've gone through that thing too. Now, there's a thin line between being cautious and being a people pleaser. Now, courtesy demands, people often say this, courtesy demands that you're kind to people. Courtesy itself translates to being kind. You already know what are my feelings on being kind. I think the world is already a disaster, and the only thing you can do to help the world is to be kind to the nearest available person to you. But being a people pleaser is not the same thing as being kind, because when you are people pleasing, you are not doing it from the goodness of the heart. And if you are a Christian, even the Bible said a cheerful giver, someone that is giving out of the goodness of their heart, not giving because they are made to give, maybe by indoctrination or other things. So when you displease yourself, you put yourself in a very tight situation that you would regret afterwards, just so you can gratify the needs of others or make yourself seem good. It's also what they would call eye service. It's also what they would call eye service, because I remember growing up, if you do something that you do not want to do, my mom will often say, this is eye service. You know, you're just doing it so people can say you're a kind person, you're a nice person. But do what people say about you really matter? You cannot please someone enough. You cannot please everyone in the world. And even if you please, or even if you try to please as many as you can, the moment you stop, they would think whatever it is that they already think about you. You cannot change what people feel about you, even if you spend your entire day or your entire life pleasing them. And this also brings me to another idea that I'm going to be sharing, which is entitlement. Now, this is one particular word that is misconstrued, especially by Nigerians. I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, actually yesterday, and then he was talking about how a lot of people are entitled, because we're talking about how when you do something for someone, you become, and this is what he was actually saying. He said if you do something for someone, you should not expect it back. That isn't. I think a lot of people misconstrue what entitlement is. If you do something for someone, if you are constantly available for someone, if you are constantly performing acts of service to a particular person, it is very natural, completely and absolutely natural, for you to expect that they would be available to help you when you are in need. You are not being entitled. You've never had them help you before, so what are you entitled to? Nothing. You only expect, when you do something, when you remove yourself and you feel others, when you put effort into something, you expect that the thing turns out good, don't you? So it also applies with human beings. If you are helpful to someone, if you are always available for someone whenever they need you to help them to do certain tasks or to do anything at all, you would not. It is very natural for you to expect that when you are in dire need, they are always available to help you too. Now, if they don't, you start to feel disappointed. It's natural. You're not entitled. It's not entitlement. Entitlement is only when you have been doing a lot for someone and then they assume that whenever they need you, you would always be available to help them. And when you don't, they become annoyed and mad at you. That is because they've already become entitled to the act of service that you've been giving them. But if you have been the one giving the act of service, doing these things to them, and you expect that they should do it back to you, that is no entitlement. They've not done anything in the first place, so what could you be possibly entitled to? If you are helping someone, I'm gonna, maybe if you, just like I said, this I don't know if I've said this before, but this would always be my opinion, right? So if you have contrary opinions, please let me know in the comment section, because we are all learning here. But I'm gonna give an example using birthdays. If your birthday comes before mine, and I spend money, I buy you a gift. It could be anything at all. I spend money and I buy you a gift. It could be a very costly gift, could be very cheap, doesn't matter, it's a gift. And I present this gift to you. I would expect that on my birthday, you would get me a gift too. Yeah, I would. Because if you don't, I would never get you a gift. I would never give you another gift. I would never do that. I would be so hurt and so disappointed, because you cannot tell me that, oh, someone said, what if they don't have money at that point? What if they don't have, if someone needs something to you, you don't need to have money. You don't have to, you should not think about them on the last minute. You should plan in advance for them. And okay, now let me break it down to another scenario, so maybe it would make more sense. Let's assume that you said you were going to go somewhere with me, and I was counting on you being in that place with me. If you cannot make it, courtesy, this is where courtesy comes in. You see now, courtesy demands that you reach out to me beforehand and tell me, I will not be able to make it. I'm sorry, I cannot make it on this day. I cannot make it on this moment. And I would understand, even if it hurts. It's understandable. Now, can you compare this to the fact where you don't even see anything, and then I reach out to you first, and then you tell me, oh, I forgot, I don't think I can make it. Now, you've not only disappointed me, you've also let me down, because maybe I still had plans for two. Now I have to accommodate the fact that it's going to be only me. Do you understand now what I'm talking about? I hope you do. I was honestly wish and hope deeply down that I've been able to explain what entitlement is, so people can stop misconstruing the idea of entitlement to expectations and disappointments. So you already know what people pleasing is. You already know what entitlement versus courtesy versus empathy is. Now, how are you able to tackle this now that you've become aware that this is the person you are? How am I tackling this? I wouldn't lie, I do a lot of research whenever I need something done, because there's no better idea there's no better idea that you would get than what you get on the internet. Honestly, you can also read books, but then becoming self-aware is the first step. It always will be the first step, because you would never know you need help until you accept that you need one. You would never seek help until you accept that you need one. That's actually what I was supposed to say. So the first thing is the first step I'm taking, and the first step I would share as to how not to be a people pleaser is learning how to say no. This would actually work on both levels to me, on the giving and on the receiving end. Before you can learn how to say no, you have to first of all learn how to accept no. This is something that I had to learn for myself. When I was younger, if I ask someone for something and they say no, I would often feel offended. Honestly, I would often feel hurt. So this also might butter into entitlement, I won't lie, because when you do something for someone and you're always readily available to help them, right? You might not be doing it from the goodness of your heart. You're just doing it because you want to be the good person. Now, when you ask that person to help you and then they tell you they can't, you feel hurt, you feel disappointed, and you feel mad, right? Because you expect that they will do the same thing for you, but they are not a pleaser. They do not want to inconvenience themselves to help you. So before you can learn to say no, you should not always be saying yes, especially when you know deep down in your heart is not something you want to do. Before you can actually get to that level, you have to learn how to accept no. Learn that, oh, someone can say no to me and I'll be fine, I'll be all right. So I should also be able to say no when I feel incapacitated, when I don't feel like I have the capacity to help them at that point in time. Learn how to say no. No is a sentence, yes. If someone asks you, I think maybe the way you say it would also has an effect, because you don't have to be rude. You can just say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm unable to do this. Oh, I wish I could, but I can't. You know, you can say it like that instead of saying no. There's a way someone could say no that would really hurt. So don't say no in a very hard way. Secondly is setting healthy boundaries. Whew. Gosh, I have to learn how to set boundaries, because I think this is one area where I lack heavily. I used to think in my mind that I'm able to set boundaries, but unfortunately over the couple of months or maybe years, I realized I actually do not. But that is because I simply say to people, this is the boundary. It's easy for you to just tell someone, this is the thing, I don't like this. But then when you have no consequence to back up the things you don't like, Is it really a boundary? It's just an idea. It's just a word. You're just talking. So now if you are setting boundaries, your boundaries should have consequences. For example, when you tell someone, if you do this to me, I will stop talking to you. Or if you do this to me, I wouldn't give you this. If you act this certain way towards me, I will do this and that. You should be able to carry through with your words. Because if your words or your boundaries do not have consequences, then people would continue to do the things to you that you don't like. But remember, there's this guy, we went to secondary school together, high school. And we have a collective group of friends. I think we're about 4 persons that know each other. Now, he's very fond of saying things like, this girl, go Jerry, Momo girl. Like, he says words like that. And I don't like it. I often tell him, I don't like when you use words like that. That's me. I don't like it. Don't call me a bitch. Do not call me. I know it's fun. I know it's good, but I don't like it. I don't want you to do that anymore. Now, I used to say before, but I never acted towards my hatred for that particular thing. So he continued to do it until one day I was like, don't say this again to me. And he was like, what will you do? And then I blocked and deleted him. And 6 years, it's been 6 years. I don't miss the friendship. I don't miss anything. That is the boundary. That is the consequence of boundaries that I set. So if you're setting boundaries, you should also be able to set the consequence. And you can stick to it, except the person promises not to repeat the same act towards you. Remember how I said you should also learn to set boundaries, but you also have to learn how to be assertive and stand up for yourself. Sometimes we are bullied by people around us. We are bullied by family members, by friends, knowingly or unknowingly. They don't even know when to do these things. And then we bottle up our initial feelings, how we feel initially, how we would react ideally to how we are being treated. We bottle it up inside and it bursts. It's torture when you have to keep all of those feelings inside. You should be able to say, I don't like this. I'm sorry, I don't really like the way you're treating me. I think you should treat me better. You should be able to say these things. It's very difficult for me. It's been very difficult, but I'm learning now. Sometimes I say things that people would not like. Sometimes I share ideas that people would not like. Let's say I'm having a conversation with my neighbors or my friends and I'm like, well, this is what I think. I should be able to hold up to my own opinion. One thing I'm learning is, no matter how assertive I am also open-minded. So that means I'm open to having my thoughts change. If what you say makes sense, I would definitely want to change my feelings about it. But my feelings are equally valid. So if you are trying to hurt them, I should be able to say to you, I don't like this. And I should not also look to see if you like the way I responded, because if you hurt someone, you don't have control of about how they would react towards the way that you've treated them. So people get angry, people get messy when they have been saying something. Let's talk about nicknames. I'm going to use nicknames as an example. Sometimes you grow up with people calling you certain things, and then it's all fun and it's all fun. It's like a joke. It's a games, right? And then they say this thing to you like almost every single time, and you laugh, but you're not really happy about it. The day you lash out and you say, I don't like this, or maybe you've been playfully saying, I don't like this, but they continue to say the same things towards you to make fun of you, and then the day that you lash out, they're like, oh, this guy's crazy, I've shown your true colors. It's not my true color. I'm still the same person. We are all different parts in one. I just don't like the things that you were doing. But I think maybe if you've stood up to yourself for the very first time and you say blatantly, I don't like this, if they continue, then they are bullies. They are all bullies. We all have bullies. So be assertive, be confident about the things you don't like. Say it to them, I don't like it. This is what I'm learning as well. Even if people do not like the way I don't think you have any right to tell me how to react when you hurt me. I should be able to say I don't like something, whether you like it or not. I don't like it. Accept yourself. Be honest about who you are. That's another thing. I've accepted that I can very easily people please. It's a flaw. It's a weakness. But your weaknesses can also be your strength. So you know how to play them. That's what I'm learning how to play them, knowing when to use them, knowing when to do them. That's something. And then the last is to also remember that you cannot please everyone. This should be the first, but I want it to be the last, because I want this to be imprinted at the back of your head. You cannot please everyone. This is where entitlement comes in. You might be pleasing someone every single time. Whenever they need you, you're available. The moment you stop, wow. it would shock you just how they would react to it. They would call you all sort of names. They would hate you. They would treat you so unkind and badly. It would shock you. You hear about it every time on the social media. It happens to you personally too. Everyone has their own personal experience of how people act or treat them in certain ways when they stop helping them. So when you start to understand that you cannot please everyone, even the ones that you've been pleasing, the moment you stop, the moment you have other things to do and you leave them, they could just turn their backs on you. That should actually keep you on the right track as to how not to be pleased or stop people pleasing. And honestly, that is just everything. I think I've laid out all the points. I would always add that if you want to do anything for yourself, you have to spend time researching on how to be a better person and how to do it better. So even after I say this, because I'm sharing the things that I want to share and also how I want to tackle what I call my flaw, which is people pleasing, because I'm recovering. If it encourages you to do the same, then you should seek ways that would help you, better ways that would help you. Okay, thank you so much for watching. As usual, we try to be informative, we try to give tips, self-care, love affirmations, and so many, and also try to have fun. So there are fun times here. So don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and also leave a message in the message section, because I enjoy reading messages and also responding to them. Have a great weekend.